for some analysis. Mr. Mashele, thank you very much for your time. So how are you interpreting this ANC endorsement of the Finance Minister's discussion paper on the economy?
Thank you very much, Koli, for inviting me. Look, to be honest, I don't think there are reasons to take the ANC seriously. Why do I say so? It is because it is not for the first time that the ANC is announcing some kind of an economic plan. Let me remind you, in the recent past, we have had a thing called the growth path, we have had a thing called the National Development Plan, we have had a thing called the stimulus package, even the splitting of ESCOM into 3 companies. At some point they said 4. It was announced at the State of the Nation address. There are 2 things we haven't seen: jobs, and we haven't seen growth. The question is, after the ANC made the announcement yesterday, will there be jobs? Will there be growth? My answer is no. Why do I say so? It is because the ANC has no history of implementation, and it has no history of job creation.
But in perhaps their defense, one would say, yesterday, I think it was made clear that there wasn't necessarily anything new that was being presented. Instead, it's a consolidation of all these economic proposals, but more importantly, the focus was, or the emphasis was placed on implementation. Are they not waking up now to the reality that really has confronted this country for the past 25 years, that implementation has always been the issue?
Now, if you have a government or a governing party that has failed to implement economic policies to improve the lives of South Africans over the past 25 years, are you not a fool to believe them when they tell you 25 years later that they are going to implement? You must be a fool. These people have failed. Now, why must we believe them? Because there is no basis for us to believe them. We are where we are economically because of the ANC government. That is the truth about it. So why must I believe them? I don't believe them. Why must an ordinary South African believe that suddenly these people will implement? Because they are the very same people who have failed, who have brought us where we are.
Talk to us about the proposals around ESCOM, for example, because I think that's the biggest headache for the country's economy. According to what the Federation COSATU is saying is that if the Finance Minister's proposal on this is to sell off all of ESCOM's coal power stations, it means that you are selling off 70% of the ESCOM generation capacity. Is that likely to get an endorsement? Because all of these proposals are going to get final word from the Alliance Political Council, and that's the governing alliance, if you like. Most of these proposals, are they actually going to see the light of day post that meeting?
In the first place, that specific proposal to sell off ESCOM's coal-fired power station was not endorsed by the ANC. Yes, it wasn't endorsed by the ANC. The ANC adopted a general policy on acquiring what they call the strategic equity partners. But that specific proposal is very controversial. I don't see it happening. COSATU will not support that, because if you do so, you are essentially selling off ESCOM. And COSATU will not agree that ESCOM must be sold, because there will be implications for workers.
So national minimum wage that the president pushed himself, in fact.
Exactly. So it's not gonna happen. Number 2, the biggest problem of ESCOM is the problem of debt, of money. ESCOM owes the world almost R500 billion. Now, whether you sell off ESCOM or you don't, you still have to pay the person you lend money to. And that question has not been addressed because the state has gone bankrupt. Our state has gone bankrupt. By the way, Cyril Ramaphosa announced in Parliament that our resources have been depleted. So that question has not been addressed. So I don't see that specific proposal going through.
Mr. Mashele, I want to end off with a bit of, the political machinations inside the party itself. So yesterday you saw the chair of the Economic Transformation Committee, SAP committee there, Enoch Godongwana, sitting alongside the Finance Minister. You've also had, in the recent past, Andries Nel being brought into the Secretary General's office. I want you to tell me what is going on in terms of trying, I guess, to manage, if you will, Ace Magashule in light of the previous blunders that he has done to, in essence, somewhat, some have been saying, is a deliberate sabotage on his part of whatever resolutions that are communicated or come out of the NEC?
Look, the Cyril Ramaphosa faction in the ANC, to which the finance minister belongs, has always had a headache, and the headache is how to manage the rogue Ace Magashula, who is the Secretary General of the party. They have actually been tiptoeing around that question. It looks to me now that they have adopted an approach that seeks to woo him by using the force of logic. I mean, if you consider the fact that he is the one yesterday who presented a statement expressing consensus that arose from the NEC, which basically he announced the position of the finance minister stroke the president, shows you that there's an attempt on the part of the Cyril Ramaphosa faction to woo Ace. So they will do everything to manage Ace. But I don't think that they will succeed because he understands the factional game. He will also have his own game plan.
Interesting indeed. Thank you very much for your time, political analyst Prince Mashele, joining us this morning.